Hi guys, very good evening to all of you. Welcome to the video number 464, and in this video today we are going to actually connect the MS Access tables with the using the Excel VBA, and we're going to connect the access with the Excel. Right, we are going to in fact not connect, we are going to control the access tables from the Excel using the Excel VBA, right? So this is actually a video which any developer, which any programmer would love to watch it, right? And I got actually a question from one of my subscribers, and so they wanted to manipulate the access tables by being on the Excel. They did not want to go to the access, because in the access also you can create the code using the access VBA, but they want to actually use the Excel VBA. So let me start this video right away, and this is going to be super interesting because we are going to talk about two wonderful Microsoft products. One is the Excel and the second is the MS Access, right? And this video is also special for me because this is the video number 464, and we have crossed 460 videos now, and all the videos are on Excel VBA, Access and Access VBA. If you're watching the channel for the first time, this is my channel name, guys, youtube.com/c Ajay Kumar Parmar, and I'll tell you how to actually start with this. If you're new to the channel, this is the training, this is the playlist basically for you. You can watch all these playlists one by one. These are all the categories for the Excel VBA, for the Excel, for the Access frontend, and for the Access VBA, right? So the only thing which you need to do here is that you need to go to the channel and you need to check that the playlist, like when you click on the playlist, you will find here 45 different playlists, and all these actually the playlists are dedicated to all those people, professionals who want to be in the MIS field, who are preparing for the interviews, and they can go and watch these Access Excel and the VBA videos, right? You just need to scroll it down and you'll find everything here, right? So I already shared the sequence with you, so I hope that is going to help you a lot. Now let me come to the real question of this, the purpose of this video. And one more thing, guys, I heard that this is an update. I'm not sure whether this is applicable to the new ones or this is for the existing subscribers also. If you don't receive any notifications when I upload the videos, you need to go to the front page where you subscribe, for the channel. This bell icon you would see that bell icon. If you see that bell icon, click there, and you will get the prompt that now do you want to receive all the notifications? And when you click OK, I think your request will be submitted, and then you will start receiving the notifications. If you're receiving the emails whenever I upload the videos, that's perfectly fine. And this is not just if you're a part of my channel. Even if you have subscribed to any other channel, then just make sure that you are receiving their notifications, because I got this update very recently. I came to know about it, so I just thought that let me share this. This is the bell icon you see on the front page of the channel. You need to click there, right? So now what is the idea of this today, the video I'm going to upload it. Now the thing is that this is my Access database, right? Now if you know the Access, if you know the basics of the Access, this is going to be super fun, because we are going to fully exploit the Access from the Excel VBA, right? And it is always a developer's a dream project actually, that when they connect the Excel with the external applications, with the external databases like SQL Server, MS Access, or maybe Outlook, PowerPoint. I talked about the PowerPoint and the Outlook a lot. There are, I think, on the Outlook itself we have got 40 plus videos, and on the PowerPoint we got I think 12-15 videos, right? So this is the video on the Access, and I'm going to upload this video on the under the playlist called Connecting Access with the Excel, and there are many other videos as well there. You can go and watch that. Now the idea is, guys, these are all the tables in front of you, right? For example, this is the table A, this is the table D. I will not really get into that. I will not open that. I just want that we should be able to make a program which can change the name of this. So maybe let's say you write here old name and you write in new name, and so old name you have here A, and then you have here data, right? And do you have the test, right? Now you can also import the data or in the Excel from the access. You can get all those names, but I will talk about that maybe in some another video. Today my main objective is, as the query received, is that the old name is already with the with the subscriber, with the user, but they want to change the name, and they want to change the name, maybe let's say they want to make this A as ABC, and they want to make this data test, and they want to change this as testing, so they want to create a button here, which when they click, then what happens, the access, in the access table, these all tables get renamed automatically, guys, right? And this is a very useful code, because if let's say you have a lot of tables here, you can all write all those tables, and you can actually get that changed, right? So this database, the name of this database is database 1. So how to start with this? Now the first thing is, guys, you need to understand one thing, that you're talking about here the external application, obviously, right? So whenever we connect the Excel with the external applications, you know what we need to do. If you would have watched the rest of the videos, like connecting Outlook or connecting the PowerPoint from the Excel, then you know that we always make sure that we should actually use the external library, right? For Outlook it is always Outlook library, for Access it is always going to be the Access library, for PowerPoint it is going to be the PowerPoint, for MS Word it is going to be the MS Word, right? So now what I want to show you is, you can see that these are the libraries which are on. Well, you don't have to activate these libraries, because these the libraries are activated because I was actually doing some programming with the Outlook and the PowerPoint. So basically these are this library, this library, this library, we don't need that, right? What you need to do is, you need to simply go to your Microsoft Access. So I click here Microsoft Access, and this is what you see, Microsoft Access 16.0. Now this is the first library you want to activate it, and then the next thing, now 16.0 is coming because I'm using the Office 2016. The next thing which you want to do is, you need to find out the DO library, Data Access Object Library, and this is where I get to see that Microsoft DO 3.6 Object Library. So please make sure you should on both these libraries. Come back to the tool reference, let's make sure that we are actually there. So I can quickly go and uncheck that they are not required, just in case if you are getting confused. So let me just click OK, and these are the libraries which you should be having on your this tools in the reference, right? So I have the DO, I have the Access, remember that, right? So let's go and write the program. Now the first thing is, guys, that so basically what is the plan? So you see that, so let's say this is the your Access table. Now this is your Access database, right? And on the other side you have a the another application which is called the Excel application, right? Now the point is, because we have used the tools and the reference, we have used those the references. So what will happen, this Excel will be able to communicate with this Access, right, using the DO and Access library, right? These are the two libraries. Well, why I'm using the DO, why I'm using the Access, I'll talk about it. First of all, understand the thing. So what we want to do is, we're going to write a program which is going to open the Access table, which is going to define that which actually Access table we are going to work, because you will have n number of Access databases. So we want to define the path, we want to tell that you are on this path and we would like to open that Access. Once you're going to open that Access database, then we are going to run the loop. We are going to tell that the moment you find this table in the Access, just change that table to this name, right? So we're going to basically run the loop there. So there is a collection loop which we're going to run there, and that collection loop, basically what it does is, it basically loops through all the tables, in the tables of Access, and then we're going to put the if condition there, right? So what happens when this is going to run, because you may have 20 tables, but you just want to change only these three tables, right? So in that case, it should work accordingly. It should not go and change all the tables. We are going to target only these tables, right? So now let us go ahead and let us see that how we can basically do that. So guys, this Access library which I'm using, this Access library I'm going to basically use to open the blank Access database. So I'm just going to write a program. So let's say update table. This is the name of my table and my program. So the first thing you need to do is you need to declare the access object. So I'm going to declare here my access object. Let's say dim x as access dot application. Now if you look at this, I got to see here access dot application. Why it is coming? You know why? Because you have check marked the library which is called Microsoft Access 16.0 or whatever you have. Depending upon your version, this number will vary. So if you don't activate this line, you will not be able to see that when you write dim x as, you will not be able to see access dot application. So this is how we're going to write set x equals to new access dot application, because we want to basically create a new access, and through this new access what we're going to do is we're going to actually make that the current the database we're going to open it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it visible. You can write here x dot visible equals true. Now remember that x is going to be treated as an access, right? So how are we going to open that database using the access? Because we have already got the access application defined in the VBA, so we're going to say that please open the current database. Now where is my database? This is, I want to show you, this is my database 1, right? So I simply go to the properties of this and I'm going to capture the path of this database. So I go to the security and I'm just going to copy that, right? So let's copy the complete path and let's go here, and this is going to open the database here, right? So once the database gets open, what do you want to do? Well, the next thing which you want to do is obviously you want to actually define your data define your the tables where you can go and work, right? Now for the tables we are going to run here a collection loop. What is a collection loop? Now collection loop, I have a very good examples on the Access and on the Excel both. What you can do is, if you want to see the collection loops, if you want to see the collection loops on the Excel VBA, you will find this Excel VBA collection loop. If you want to check the Access, those collection loops, you can go and check this Access collection loops. So basically guys, collection loops are nothing, they are simply to loop through all the objects which falls in the same category, right? So it's more of like this, that if you want to access all the sheets in a Excel, then you write for each worksheet in worksheets. If you want to loop through all the tables in the Access, you write for each table in tables. So this is how we actually write the query for each tables in table singular word comes first and then the tables, right? So this is just, I'm writing it just to explain you, right? But we will do some changes here, right? Because I can't use this directly the class like this. So what you will do is you will define the, first of all I'm simply going to define my database. So I define as, let's say, dimdb as DAO. This is the library which I'm going to use, this data access object library, and I'm gonna write here database. Now when I set as DAO, this is DAO is coming. You know why it is coming? Because you have activated this library, guys, the second library, which is the data access object library, DO library, right? This is very important. So this is going to there is one more technology which people use, which is ActiveX data object library, ADO, right? You would find my some of the videos on ADOs as well under this playlist called Excel VBA connecting MS Access, this one, right? But right now we are only going to talk about the DO. So this is how you write that my DB is going to be current DB. Which DB? Current DB is a Access VBA word, but now the moment you get this database 1.accdb database open, this DB is going to be treated as a current DB. So DB is now your database, which is called database 1. That's the name of that database, right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to define my table. So for the table I define my object as tbl as, then you want to write here do dot table def, right? This is how we define the tables, guys, right? For each, basically this is not a table, this is for each table def, but because this table def is now we have declared it as a TBL, so this is going to be TBL. Now you may ask me, you must be thinking, if you're new to the VBA, then why I haven't written here for each table def? Because you directly can't use the class, you have to declare it, you have to assign an object to it, and this is what the object I have defined it for each TBL. And then in, for each TBL in what? Now obviously these all tables, where are they located? they are all a part of your database, which is database 1. And what is your database 1? Your database 1 is your DB. So you're going to write here db.tabledevs. Remember, this is the plural, right? So for each singular object in the plural, in this way you can remember, for each table in my database table devs, what I want to do is, so here I write TBL. Now here what we're gonna do is we're going to basically do one thing. We're going to say that now if you come back to your sheet, this sheet, right? So what we want to do is we want to run the loop. Okay, I want to change the name of all these tables one by one, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to further here run a loop. Now every time this loop runs, so how many times guys this loop is going to run? So if I just show you, for example, you put the message box here and you write here tbl.name. Okay, now if I just go and run this code, first of all let's see what's gonna happen here. Look at this, the access application is created. It is going to take a little time. As you can see that I don't see my cursor there. So the application is created. Now I'm just going to make it visible in front of you. You see in the background access is open. Wonderful. Now from here, this x.open current database, my access is going to be open. Look at this guys, I have my database open, and now this loop is going to loop through. Now you may be thinking that we are going to run this 3 times because I have got 3 tables. Let me have a look here. So first you got A, and then you got data, and then you got msys access storage. Now these are the tables guys which we didn't see anywhere. Let me press F5. These are all the hidden access tables which are used when you use the VBA, and we have nothing to do with this. So I need to basically uh, I mean filter this. I need to remove this while running this loop. It is not going to harm you, but unnecessarily it is looping through all these tables, right? So the every table starts with msys, so I can write any table which contains a word called sys. Then let's go to the else and if, so let me just quickly run this, and there we go. So what I will do here is I will simply say if table name contains this word sys, okay, and now put the star, because after the sys anything can come. It's a part of actually a table, the by default the naming, the tables which access uses. So I will actually also go and put the star before this sys. This is how it is, right? So if the table is like this, if the word is this, then do nothing. So we don't want to do anything else. What do we want to do? Well, else we want to actually go and capture the table name. So I'm just going to write here table name, right? And then you write here else and if. Now let's run the code here again. So let me just close this database. I'm going to quickly run this now. Let me press F5 to save the time. There we go. Now you would see that the access is going to open in front of it. Oh, there we go. The access open, and now let's have a look. So alright, so we are getting some issue here. Let me check that. Let me click on the debug for each table in dbf. So if I just go and run this, there's some problem coming here. Object variable or with block not set. So let's check that. What's the issue? So I know from my experience that what happens when you try to run this on the F5 mode, sometimes access doesn't work in this way, right? So what you need to do is the database which you have created, let's create it as a public object. Right now this is a local object. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut this line, I'm going to put it on the top. I hope you understand the difference between local variables and global variables and public variables. So right now you just declare that database on the top. Right now when I'm going to run this, it is going to work, right? Because declaring this as a public, the database, your code is going to work. So now I just hit on the F5, right? So let's see that now. So the access is open in front of you. Alright, there we go. Let me minimize it, and you can see that guys, we have got the message box, the table A, the table data, and then the test database, and that's it, right? So we have got basically the code running by declaring this on the top, and I'm sure, I can bet many of you must be today jumping, because the thing is, this actually problem irritates a lot of us when we especially work with the this connectivity, when we connect the Excel with the access. So I'm sure you must be jumping with the joy, right? And you should, because I found this solution a long time back, and I really was struggling a lot in this. Right now, anyways, let's come back to the code now. So we got the message box, but we don't need the message box, isn't it guys? So what I'm going to do is, in the else mode. Now here in the else mode, what I will do is, if my table is not does not contain SYS, which means the by default, then I want to go and check my table. I want to see that if the table name is a data or test. So what I can do is I can simply go here and I can write here that, so we're going to say that call the macro. Which macro you want to call? Well, you can call a macro, another macro, let's say ABC. Okay, and then this ABC macro you can write somewhere here. Okay, because then here we will do all the updates. So I'm just going to write here another macro. So here we're going to write sub ABC. You can give it a good name, definitely. And here I will write that dim I as integer, and then for I equals 2. So you're supposed to run this from 2 to how many times? 2 to 4, right? Next I, right? So I'm talking about the Excel, right? So now here, because 2 to 4, 2, 3, 4. So what I will do is I will simply write here, I will say that I can write here, if my cells in the cell I, the row number 2 and the column number is going to be 4, because I'm on the D column, isn't it? So if I say that if the value of that is going to be equals to my table name, tbl.name. Now you see that, guys, tbl.name is not working, and it's simply because of the reason that table actually is not a public object, right? So we can do one thing. I can simply go and define this on the top. I can cut this line from here and I can go and define that this as well here, right? Now what happens, I can use this value in any of the macro, right? So beautifully we are using this concept of the public variable. Now you see that the moment I press tbl dot, it's showing the name. So if that is equals to the table name, then what we need to do is, then obviously that table name, we want to change that table name, and we want to say that now the table name should be equals to the cells I and then comma 4, whatever the value we have. Sorry, the fifth column actually, because in the fifth column we have written the new table. And else and if. This is what we are supposed to do, right? So every time, so this loop is going to work 2, 3, 4 times, and we will check that all the values one by one, right? If the table name is there, then let's do the update. So this is going to work in this way, right? So this is your second macro, and now I will simply try to run this and let's see if it is going to work or not. Okay, so this is the bigger loop. Remember, this is going to run how many times? Well, in this particular database I have only 3 tables, so maybe I can go and for the testing purpose I can further go and let's say I create some more tables. So let me copy this and paste it here. So there is one more copy of data, and let's copy and paste one more. So I write here that testing data. That's it, right? So we have the 5 tables now. So the for each loop is going to work how many times? It's going to work actually 5 times, and every time it runs it's going to work further 2 to 4 times. This is how the code is going to work. So let's just remove some space so that you can see the entire code here. Very important. So there we go, and that's how the code is, right? So I hope now you can see that. Let me just go and further. Yeah, that's the code now. Now I think we are quite clear on this. Okay, so let's go and run the code now. I'm gonna run the code. Press F8. There we go. Let's open the access database, the blank access database. Basically, let's make it visible, and through this now access blank layout, I'm going to open the current database. It's like it is working like workbook.open command in the Excel, right? So the database is set, and for each table in this database, now let's run this. Now you see that the first table name is A, which does not contain SYS, right? So it will go in the else mode. Now it's going to call the ABC. Now in the ABC I'm going to run this. So what is the first time this is going to run? So what value we have here? So we can check that. I can show you that in the watch window. Let me put that in the watch window. Alright, so you can see that, guys, the first actually the table is A, which I have kept in the sheet. So if I show you in the sheet, the first name is A, so that means this is exactly we have got in the table name as well. So both are basically equal. If they are equal, then it should go here and it should change the name to what? Now the table name should be changed to, you can see that ABC, because I'm using the same row number but the column number 5, and actually in the column number 5 you have your, the new answer, the new table. Now this is done. Now, but this loop is supposed to run how many times? 3-4 times, right? So 3 times it is going to work. Now the next time when I see the value, it's data, so automatically it will go in the else mode, and then else mode and finish. Now we are back on the, the other loop. Now the next time this is going to work, so this is going to now see the next table. What is the next table, guys? It's copy of data. Obviously this copy of data doesn't contain this is what, so it goes here in the else mode. Again we are going to call the ABC, right? Now again, now I is going to start with the 2, guys, right? Because I is every time the loop runs, it will start from 2. Now what is the value here? It's A. What is the table name? The table name is copy of data. So none of the table, none of this row number is going to match. So I will simply write else and if else and if else if and if, and then we are back on the loop. What is the next table? The next table name is data. Again it goes in the call if. Now here it's gonna find that, so this is my data. The cell, this the first, actually the cell is A. Obviously that's not equals to data, it goes in the else, but the next time it finds the data because now I is incremented, so we have now I as 3. I'm on the row number 3rd and the column number 4, which is data. So this table now should change to data test. Alright, now let's go to the next, and now again end if, it goes back to the next table. What is the next table name? Next table name is MSys access, so it quickly goes to the end if. You see that because I have written this condition. Again I'm gonna write it, so this is going to work in this way, right? So let me press F5, guys, and there we go, everything is done, the macro finishes. Let's quickly go and check that whether we got these tables renamed as ABC, data testing and testing. Let's go and check that, and you can see that here. Let me just close this database, and I'm gonna open it again so that everything should be refreshed, and let's have now a look on the database. Let's see that whether we are able to open it or not. Okay, now one thing I am observing very interesting. You see that what happens when you run this, while in this code, because we are using the public variable, you see that this extension database 1L ACCDB, this is basically says that it's on the read only mode. So I go back to my code and I just click on the reset. I click on the reset. Now let me go back to the document, and do you see that it's not there? Database 1.l ACCDB extension is not showing, guys, because now the VBA has released your database, right? I had to click on the reset button. Let me double click now and let us see that whether the tables are changed or not, right? Now you can see that ABC is there, data test is there, and the testing data, I think that's the one, right? Isn't it? Testing is there. Wow, this is fantastic, guys. How you actually have control this access using the Excel VBA, right? So you can see that copy of data and the testing, the testing data. These tables did not change, right? When we were running the code, I showed you there, right? Now the only thing which is left is that how to make sure that this, because every time when you run this, so now suppose these are my table names. I'm just going to copy this and paste it here, and I write here this is going to be X, this is going to be Y, and this is going to be Z. The moment I run this, so let me run this from here. I hit on this F5, there we go. So the macro is going to open the access, it is going to change all the names, and you can see that it actually changed the names as well, XYZ, right? I close the access, and if I go back to the document, I see here this file is created, one more L ACCDB file. Whenever you open your access, and first of all I'm going to put it, make it the public variable, right? And then so everything, now we created xdb, you know, everything is now the public variable. So now what you will do, once you through with this table, let's just go and say that I want to quit from this. Okay, so the quit means the access will quit immediately. Now let's go and let me show you the database first of all. So in the database right now we have these tables uh, xyz, and I'm just going to write here copy and paste xyz, and I'm going to write here, let's say, let's change them to Ajay1 and Ajay2, right? So you can see that this is the access xyz. I'm just going to close this and let's now run the macro. So I'm going to run the macro. Let me hit on F5. There we go. Now the access will open and it should close also at the same time. Let's see that. Alright, this is open now. Once this is open, let me see that what's wrong with this. So if I go to this, the remote server machine does not exist. So let me click on the debug. So basically the problem is, it says that the it means it is not able to find out this access application. Let me reset the code, right? And let's go and check that what is the basically the problem with this. Now this error generally comes when I think it's not actually able to identify the database, right, the path where it is located. So let me see that why this is throwing a throwing the error on this line. Well, I think the problem is so this if you ever get this issue, the remote server machine not found, sort of that. So I think what happens, basically we are getting this access opened, right? This X is my access. So instead of writing the current DB, you know what I should write? I should write my access application, and then in that it should be the current DB, that way. And apart from that, before I quit the access, let me also close my database close, access quit, and at last we should write set my db equals to nothing and set my x equals to nothing, so that the public variables should be completely destroyed, right? So now let's go and run the code. So I'm going to run the code. So this is the important change which I have done, and I'm sure this is going to work now. So first we are getting the database closed, and then the access we are getting, we are quitting from the access. So let me just run this and let's have a look here, guys. So I'm going to run it. There we go, it opened and it closed. Wow, perfect. Now you can see that there is no lcd, laccdb file is existing, it's not there. And if I just go and open my database one, let me check if we have done the changes there or not. So Ajay1, Ajay2, you can see that the tables are changed, guys. This is working, right? I again and run this code again. Let me check that it should not stop, because you remember the last time when I was running it for the second time, it was showing me the error. And look at this, guys, now it's working perfect. It's all the magic is in this x dot current database. Now when you write the this current db command in the access VBA, you never actually write any you don't fix anything, but this is because the excel, and we're getting the access application visible through that access application. We are basically trying to you know uh, set up the platform, right? So that is what this access all doing. It's creating the access application, the new application, and from that we are opening the current access application, the database, right? So this set db, where it was showing me the error called the remote machine does not found, or whatever it was, it's because of that, because I forgot to put this x. So whenever I run this now, it's gonna work. You see that the access gets open and it's going to actually open it and do the changes and close it, right? I can also go and write here application dot screen updating equals to false, and in the end of this, make sure here you should turn it back to application dot screen updating equals to true, right? And now I can go to the Excel, and I let me create the button over here, assign macro, and we're going to assign the macro. So my macro name is, if I just scroll it down, update tables. So I just go and click here. You can see that application screen updating is going to make your macro run fast, and at the same time though, because the access is getting open, I think the screen will be moving. I was thinking that if I use the screen updating equals to false, it's not going to show up the access, right? Or maybe if I just make sure, if I use that, let's not make this access visible, let me comment this line x dot visible, right? Let me run this now, guys. Let's go and check that, right? So let's do the complete post-mortem, isn't it? Let's learn everything. So there we go. Oh wow, this is amazing, guys. I run this and you see that user is not now seeing that access getting opened, right? So everything happens in the background because of this line x dot visible equals to true. I haven't made that access visible. So that's it for now. I have taken your enough time, but I hope it was worth watching, and this is definitely going to take you to the new height, because you learned here how to manipulate the how to control your this access simply sitting at the Excel using the Excel VBA. So pause the video, take the snapshot of this, write the code yourself, practice it, and this is another pause the video, and now you can have a look on this part as well, right? But before I go, if I just can show you everything in the one line, let me go to the tools option and let me just make this font as 9. I'm sure you will be able to see the entire code. And now let me just scroll up, guys. Yeah, so I think you can see this entire code now, and on the top you have these access application DO database and DO table def objects created as public objects. They are not the local objects, right? So that's it for now, guys, and I'll see you next time. We will be talking about something else more fantastic, and you have a fantastic learning today. And let me know how do you see this video. Is it actually has it increased your knowledge or not? And you can leave your comments. If you like the video, don't forget to click on the like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel also. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.